Call the meeting to order. Let's have roll call.
Councilmember Colbert. Here. Councilmember Scriven. Here. Councilmember Reed. Here. Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Mayor Truman.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory. Here. Councilmember Daniels.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Stam.
Present. Please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, your word says that in the multitude of many counselors, there is wisdom. And so, God, I just pray that throughout this meeting, with all of these counselors, God, I pray that your will would be done in and through Valley Center. We thank you so much for this night and for the opportunity to come together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Moving on to item 5, approval of tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to item 6, the administration agenda, approval of the minutes of the July 21st meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 21st, 2026 regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the council meeting minutes of July 21st. Any further questions or concerns? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. No presentations or proclamations tonight. Moving on to the public forum. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? We're on the agenda. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Appointments, none. Old business. Discussion of the Valley Center Fire Services. We'll have the public speak first, shall we? Yeah, let's do it that way. So I have Debbie Bannicher.
Well, I
State your
don't have
name and
a,
address, please.
what's that?
Name and address, please.
Oh, 401 West Ness. Thank you. Yeah, I was at the town meeting that you held, and I just wanted to let you know what I felt about the fire district. And I really believe that that's the option. We're retired. We lived in Valley for 35 years. I have a lot of contacts here that are retired people, and we just can't afford anymore. We want the least amount of property tax that we can have. And it looks to me like that's one of the reasons to go with it. It may be less for us. I don't know about the coverage. It's, you hear all kinds of stories. I do understand we want to keep our own fire department. I can totally understand that. But I also know we have massive debt. So that is another consideration. I would like to see the firemen that are here get to keep their jobs. That's what they're claiming. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Hopefully you know that better than I do. But I just wanted to let you know that I do agree that we probably need to go to the fire district. And since I get to talk to all of you at once, I decided to come here to do that. Amy and Ben are actually my reps, my council members. But yes, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Cinder, do you have anything for us? Or just any updates other than the material we handed out today, which was mentioned in the town hall meeting?
Good evening. No, I don't at this time. I have some points that I think I'll work in and out of the conversation depending on how you guys progress. I know that tonight is a large opportunity for you to talk as a council together, and where I might be able to provide some more input, I'll do that at that time. But I think I'll stand by to start out with and let you all discuss that together. And then I can interject some points where necessary. At the end, if we haven't hit everything I have on my note, I'll come back up and visit again.
Okay. Matt, you want to start?
You want to start us off?
You want to start this discussion or?
Yeah, I have some questions for whoever can answer them. One of them, if we keep the department, this probably be more low, if we keep the department, we're still going to have to rely on the part-time people to show up to get the numbers correct, right?
Correct.
Okay. On the 2 fires we had last week, were there any part-timers showed up for that?
I know there was on the one call for sure, and I believe actually the other call as well.
Have you heard from the county about getting the auto aid back, or is that completely off the table? I know they were pounded quite a bit last Wednesday, but they never would confirm or.
I would say that the town hall meeting was probably the first confirmation of that we've received. We haven't received anything else in writing. However, because this is a process that would take place, and as you learned from the town hall meeting last time, it's not like if the council was to make the decision to go with the district, that doesn't necessarily occur immediately because of the tax timelines, and there is a July 1st deadline that the district, the city and the district would have to signal to the county that the fire district is taking this valuation and levying taxes for that purpose. And that would have to happen before July 1 now, basically, of 2027. And so we know that this wouldn't take effect until the end of July the end of 2027. And so I did pose a question to the county to talk about what that interim looked like, because I needed to understand what does that mean in the interim? How does each entity levy for services, and what do the services look like, and if auto aid is going to continue? I did receive an email response back that confirmed if the council decides to go with District 1, we would be working on that process over this next year. And in that interim, they would allow auto aid during that transition period. I do have that as a response in writing now for that transition period. So I have the verbal at the town hall meeting.
Help them in a fire, who's going to cover us since we don't have a truck to backfill?
So what we've done before, we've done mutual aid with Newton before. We have a mutual aid agreement with Newton. Often, depending on the type of call that we get, even with Sedgwick County, determines what truck we take. Any type of Newton or mutual aid with Newton typically is going to be a structure fire. We'd be sending 2 firefighters with the tender. And so we would have any other firefighters left at the station and or part-time, full-time that also respond in. That's what we do now. That's what we've done. Whenever there's a call, when they're on a call, there's another call out, and then others respond from home.
Are you concerned about us being able to hire firefighters and keep them competing with Wichita wages and county wages? You have that problem on the police department, don't you, sort of?
I've had that problem on the police department as well. It is at times difficult to do for certain. I mean, I've had that problem for 10 years. So there are times that's a struggle to be able to hire and keep. And I think most departments across the state would tell you that's a struggle for them.
And I've been in the basement of that building. It's been a couple of years ago. Can that really be retrofitted to fit firefighters?
We've brought in a couple of people to look at that to tell us. They say it can. If you remember, it's mostly concrete in that building. When you're in the basement, there's a couple large pieces of plywood that cover up holes in the ground, and there's some pipes sticking up out of the ground. Rough ends are already in for the plumbing. They were when the building was built, they were put in. course, we would have to check those, see if they're still usable and viable. But with what we would plan, yeah, I mean, we would certainly have to move some stuff out of there, rearrange some things, and then there would be some construction.
Do you foresee that that would work for 10, 15 years, or we have to look at building a building eventually?
So I
I know
think
that's a hard question.
it is a hard question, and actually I was talking about that today. Remembering back the last time we added 2 full-time firefighters, I believe it was you, and I believe you said at that end, ask me if that was enough. And I said, it's not. As the city grows, we're going to need to go 24/7. We're going to need to add staff, and we're going to need a new building because we're busting at the seams now. 10 to 15 years, if we added any more personnel, I think we need, we would certainly be talking about a building because we're at capacity.
Okay.
What time frame then are you anticipating? If it's not 10 to 15 years, are you?
I think that conversation would have to happen a lot sooner. I think I've been told by other police chiefs even, when you start talking a new building, from the time you start the process to the time you have a building that's completed, you're looking at 5 years. So I think we would want to have that conversation in the next few years to start the planning process and to start thinking ahead on what we would do. I'm not saying we would be spending money then or breaking ground then, but we would have to start that conversation.
I wasn't on the council. I don't think anybody up here was. Ben might have been. But when the city lost 911, I mean, all cities,
wasn't
Derby,
on
they all lost it.
I wasn't on when that
Oh, you
happened.
weren't on that? Was that what caused all that? Was that because of it was costing the city too much money, so they had to get rid of it? Or what was the cause of that being given to the county?
That was similar to what we're experiencing today. I think it was a desire for consolidating services and putting them all under one roof.
I'm done for now. Someone else can go.
Dan?
Sandra, I have a follow-up with what you started talking about. We requested an extension of our agreements, our 8 agreements through 12/31. Did we ever hear back officially in writing that we have that extension, or?
So we received a response. We actually received a response in 2 parts. Number 1, I did receive a response back immediately that indicated that we don't need to request an extension for mutual aid because the county has already indicated that they will extend mutual aid. We just needed to update the contract. So they have presented me with a draft contract. We've reviewed it. We provided comments back to them. We also did let them know that our legal counsel was out of town at that time, but he would also probably need to get a look at it. We have provided preliminary responses already just to keep the process moving. So I should be getting those comments back, and then we should be coming in with a mutual aid agreement at some point very soon. The auto aid, the response that I got to think about that, I might need to go get my laptop to make sure I don't want to misquote, but I know that there is a presentation at one of I think it's the 18th, possibly. I don't have that date in front of me. The upcoming fire board meeting, I believe that the county manager is going to provide a recommendation about a suggestion of the continuation of aid. So I think at that point, that's when they're going to be entertaining discussion on our official request. So I expect some kind of a response after that meeting.
Lloyd, our fire department currently, what are the days and hours that we have firefighters on duty?
7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 7
7 to
p.m.
7, okay. I have some follow-ups later that I think if we get into talking, I have a couple of specific questions, but do we know, so we asked a lot of questions the other night. We were given a lot of information from Fire District 1 about our shortcomings. I would like to know some data about the county, and I didn't ask that night, and I may have to follow up with Mr. Beatty. What % of calls does Fire District 1 respond to without aid of some sort from an outside municipality?
Yeah, I think that's a question.
I'd like to know
we-
how many fire calls they go on without aid, because this seems to be pointed at, we're short, we're short, but I would like to know how much they rely on other jurisdictions to help them the way it should be. I feel like we got pushed back into a corner about, we are lacking in this and we are lacking in that. But I think if everybody works together, and that's the end of the day, if everybody works together, the firefighters all want to do their job. It doesn't matter who they work for. And I feel like this is a boxing match of higher ups. I am concerned with, and I did ask at that meeting for specifics. We were given that at some point, but it was not passed along to all of council. We have now tonight. I have some questions regarding those, and so I would apologize that was given to us at some point. But I have some questions about, like, did they ever address those with our fire department? They've got a list made, but is there a review after we have a fire where they respond with us in our jurisdiction?
Not on a big scale. I believe there were one or two of those instances where the previous fire chief had said, hey, they had concerns. They, weren't happy with the number that showed up. And so to say, I was not part of those conversations. Nobody brought those conversations to me other than hearing about it after the fact. And so, I can't tell you the extent of those or how often or which calls that happen on, but it has happened, yes.
I feel a little bit like this list. I feel like we're in a divorce and this list is something that was given to the lawyer as, here's my complaints. But did you ever talk to the spouse about what your complaints were? That's kind of what I feel like we have. And I think moving forward, if we decide to keep our fire department, we need to have a mechanism where we have reviews and we have ways to discuss this, so it's not just, and so I think they're dropping the ball some with EMS response. And that was part of, in here, they talked about, I can't remember off the top of my head without looking through it, and I don't want to do that right now, but there was 2 of those 15 things on there that were medical calls, difficulty breathing. That's not a structure fire. And I understand those firefighters are trained to respond to what calls we have, but that's something I think needs to be brought into discussion with county is EMS response to some of this stuff too. So I think that's all part of it.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that. I don't know the specific calls on that list that you're talking about that were medical calls, but I believe if we researched it, we would find that it wasn't that we just didn't respond to the medical calls. We were on another call.
Okay.
And so we have done the same when Fire District 1 has been busy on calls. I know in the last year, we've responded to at least one medical call in the fire district, which is not typical, not part of our township contracts. But we responded to at least one medical call because they were busy. So we helped them out and took it.
Okay.
And you're right. I don't know a percentage, Councilmember Anderson. I know a large percentage of the calls.
To go completely 24/7 right out of the gate.
So
A modified version of that and phase into it without having to jump off a cliff, so to speak.
I guess I would ask what your modified version would look like. I think that was one of the options as far as staying where we're at. And I have told Sandra, I don't think that's a viable option. I think if we do that, we put our firefighters at risk and we put our citizens at risk. And I understand the need to save money. I understand, I'm a taxpayer here as well. I don't want to spend a lot of extra money either, but I don't want to jeopardize the safety of my firefighters or my citizens to do that.
Okay.
Councilman Anderson, can I weigh in on that as well?
Absolutely.
That question that you just asked is one that and I smiled earlier, not with any disrespect at all, but because it's probably the question that I've pounded our staff with the worst. And not to just reiterate, but I want to recognize the logic behind that, in that, hold on, what's happening? We functioned like this, and that's what fire departments do. That's what all public safety does. They rally when there is a situation. And in one of my very first conversations with the county, I said, hold on, what's going to happen whenever we as fire departments or other public service agencies start looking at this from the standpoint that if you can't meet the numbers you're supposed to have, we're not going to help anymore. That's a very slippery slope for all of emergency services in the whole entire state. And so, we've had some pretty hard conversations, and when we were going through those options, one of the options I just didn't want to let go of is, why can't we just figure out how to do this with where we are? Because I know it's not been working perfectly, and I know that all agencies miss the mark, but we've been operating that way. And I keep bringing it up. They're probably very tired of hearing it, but the reason that I keep bringing it up, but also the reason why it dead ends, is because of basically, I've got my own fire staff telling me that if we stay the way we are not going to be safe. But I still
That answers
circle
that
back to
question.
it.
That answers that question then. So that basically pulls that off the table of a modified version.
There's one more piece to it that was brought up at the town hall as well that we don't often talk about, is what our current firefighters with their current schedule and current staffing level go through. I told you that they work 7 days a week. They're off at 7 p.m. When they're off, it's not like anyone else with a regular job that goes home and you're off work. When they're off, they go home, they wait for that pager to go off, and they come back to work. And they do that all evening, they do that all night. There are nights I get up, I get the pages on my cell phone as well. There are mornings I get up and I see they've ran 3-4 calls overnight, and I'm like, man, they got to come to work at 7 a.m. And they've been up all night. There's no way they're coming in, responding to a call, going home, and having time to fall back asleep before they get the next call. They're doing this all night long, and then they're coming back in and they're working all day. At some point, fatigue becomes a major factor, and I don't think that's just part of the safety factor. I think that's what makes that a non-option in my eyes.
Okay. I don't know if we're voting on this tonight. I don't know if that was something that we were pushing towards. Is this discussion have an end tonight, or was this something that can be carried over to another meeting?
So it does not have to end tonight. I think from a schedule timeline, I'm going to answer a lot of these questions looking at you guys too, because kind of depends on where you want to go with it. If you think that there is a potential that we are moving toward keeping Valley Center Fire Department, then we have tonight and we have the next council meeting to follow along with the budget timeline. If the council feels like they're leading toward Fire District 1, we need to solidify some very serious transitional decisions to make sure that all of our, again, from the beginning, there's been some non-negotiables as far as I'm concerned as a city administrator. Number one would be a station in Valley Center guaranteed, and number two is our existing employees. So to me, before we solidified that decision, I would want some kind of direction and the time availability to honestly pursue those avenues and look at what's possible to either contractually, and I've got to talk to legal about that, but have something in our pockets to make sure that we are protected with the things that are most important for Valley and making that transition. So yes, you have until the next meeting to make a decision, but if that's a potential direction that you're going in before you make a hard decision that is going to lock us in on the budget, I would like to know if that's where we're leading, I would like some time to be able to negotiate those terms and make sure that we know where we're landing for sure.
Ron? Ron?
Okay, thank you. I got a couple of remarks I want to make that some people are not going to like. Other people don't care. But I have a lot of respect for fire department and their employees that helped me over the last year. Without them, I wouldn't be here. That's the first thing. Second thing, when I read this events of concern, who's running Valley Center? Sedgwick County? Because they, in their remarks, it seemed everything they put down there, Valley Center, not in command. Valley Center units unavailable are available because of simulated building fires. Well, that's part of their training, isn't it? The other thing is inadequate manpower. Again, Valley Center not in charge or in command. And it goes on down. I don't know, out of 10 or 11 of them are all Valley Center not in charge or in command. The third thing I want to bring out is some of the emails that I've received, I didn't appreciate. I'm not trying to make anybody in here more concerned about what's going to happen over 6 months, but yet they talk one side of the mouth and the other side. Give you an example. At the meeting what was it, 2 weeks ago? Gentleman stood up and says, well, I don't like taxes, I don't like this, I don't like that, but if it's necessary, go ahead and let's move to Wichita. I remember the quote was exact. I didn't have it written down, but I think that's what it was. On there. Again, who has the final authority? Do we do as a council? Or is it Sedgwick County?
So,
Answer that, anybody?
yeah, I want to address two things to make sure. So obviously, this council has final authority. This council has final authority on this decision. So, I want to make sure I'm being clear on what you'd said a minute ago about being in command on site, which has to do with on-scene command. I don't want to try to explain.
Yeah, what they're talking about, they're not talking about, I mean, they're in charge, the command is like in charge of that scenes, on-site command. They're watching out for the safety. That position, that job at the time is to watch out for the safety of the firefighters, give direction, get feedback at the same time. That's a busy position. So when you go to a structure fire, you know, we started the 10 and 10. We talk about that. We talk about more. All of those positions, like not all of those positions are actually holding a hose, dumping water on the fire. They all have their own positions. One of those is a command position. That's what they're talking about there. When we have a lower turnout, you know, our guys, you know, rather than our supervisor taking command, they're working on the fire portion. And so when county has shown up on some of those, what the examples they gave, one of their battalion chiefs has taken command of that scene, of that situation at that moment.
Okay. The final question I got for all of us, actually. What is the percentage that you're figuring on the tax increase? Is 9% increase or higher?
Well, we wondered the same thing, and I do have a list of some things that we'll need to talk about at some point having to do with that potential economic impact. But in reviewing the potential economic impact to the community, we also wanted to look at what was this going to do to our levy in comparison to other communities' levies. I'm going to go ahead and let Clint give a quick presentation on that. And as he's preparing to bring that up, I just want to be very clear about a couple of things. Once again, we've danced back and forth between 2026 numbers and 2027 numbers, which have to do with the year's prior valuation. For the ease of convenience, because we don't have 2027 numbers on all these other communities, we are viewing this from a 2026 budget data perspective. Please keep that in mind.
Good evening, Council. Basically, there's just two sets of numbers here. The top set of numbers is the current budget that we're in right now. This is 2026 actuals. This is what each city passed. As you can see, Valley Center, at the very top, cell B7, 21.998 on the general fund, with a total mill impact of 53.652 to run the city in 2026. So what I've done is I took the budget that we discussed in the first meeting of July, and what I then added in all the additional expenses it would take to increase our fire department under the assumption that we're going to keep it. And that brings us down below. So general fund goes up because, of course, we would have to put additional mills toward staffing full time, bond and interest. So essentially the bottom column, let's assume, for ease of sake, this is what it's going to look like on January 1st. All right, does that make sense? So on January 1st, we're going to talk about the bottom row now. So general fund jumps up to 30.578 to staff a full-time fire department, plus pass the rest of the city's general fund, which includes police, community development, parks, city hall, senior services, and everybody else. Bond and interest you're already aware of. Again, this is in 2026 dollars, 2026 mills. It jumps up to 20.282. The library's at 4.21. Employee benefits at 16.703. And as you can see, we unfortunately jump very, very far ahead of all the peer cities around us at 72.817. So this is what it would look like if we keep our fire department on January 1st of next year in 2026 mill dollars. Again, if I use the 2027 assessed valuation, this changes, but I don't have the other cities' information yet for next year. So as you can see, I've just dropped their numbers straight down. Of course, they're going to move around a little bit too, but this is what is approximately pretty close what we're going to look like on January 1st of 2027 if we keep our fire department in-house.
Thank you for that. Just one other thing before we get finished here. Everybody's comparing us to other cities. I must say, if they're comparing us to other cities, this is from Sedgwick County, I am very pleased with that. Why? Those guys work their butts off. They do their job. They may not get all the money that they want, but they do save Valley Center. Thank you.
Mayor, would you mind, before we leave this slide, I just want to make some clarifications because that's a very large number. So just some points of interest here. Yes, it takes us from a let me find Valley Center on the top one, from a 53.652 to a 72.817. A couple of things to remember. In January, that number will actually be lower because valuations changed. So everybody's is going to drop lower. So depending on which way you go, when you see real numbers in 2027, I don't want you to come back and say, I thought you said it was going to be 70 mills. It's not, because we already know, remember, that the fire department under 2026 numbers was an 18.4 something mill number. But then as soon as you move into the valuations, it becomes a 16.99. So does it drop? Yes. probably everybody's valuations, this is an assumption, probably everybody's valuations went up a little bit and everybody's mills are going to fluctuate a little bit. This was our attempt to say, where do we stand today in comparison if we add in the debt, what we know is happening in bond and interest, and the fire department? How far out of range does that take us? So this is a comparative tool, but again, it really won't be 72. But what won't change is the gap. We're trying to show you, what does that gap look like? The numbers will change, but they should all change together to some degree. So please keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is that this is if we retain Valley Center Fire under municipal control. We have that number calculated in there. If for some reason, if the council goes with Fire District 1, remember we have that interim time frame. Remember, because it doesn't happen immediately. So we're talking about probably the 28 budget. This is the 27 budget that we're preparing. And I said that they would give us auto aid for an additional year through that transition. So we still have to fund the current 10.52 mills. So I'm being a little bit confusing, but I want you to see is, yes, there's a comparative. If this is kind of where we are today, then if we went ahead and bolstered and kept the department, we're going to have a gap kind of like this compared to the other communities. If we do not keep the department, it goes with Fire District 1, it's not going to go quite to here immediately, because that first year we got to keep the 10.52. But then in 28, when it's fully online with Sedgwick County, then you'll see that gap start to get closer together. The debt will never, not for the next several years, the debt is never going to get it right in that timeline, in that range with those other cities. And so I just want you to really, again, all information at one time so that you have clear decisions and you have a clear path forward, because it is going to be at that if we bolster. If we don't bolster and we go with Fire District 1, you're still got to deal with the 10.52 in our 2027 budget. And then in 28, if you went with Fire District 1 and you don't have the 10.52 anymore, fire is completely gone, but your debt is still going to keep us gapped above the other cities for a period of time. I don't know that exact gap, but probably in this comparative tool, we'd be somewhere around, what was it, 61.2 instead of 72?
We kind of return to the group, so to speak, in 2034. That is when that bond and interest number will almost half itself. In addition, employee benefits of that 16.703. We have it higher this year. We have it higher next year. We essentially took that account insolvent last year. I think that's going to return to probably something closer to a 14 range here soon, probably within a couple of years. So employee benefits will be the first to come down, bond and interest around 2034. We will return to the pack of cities around us and hopefully not be on top at that point in time.
Again, I'm going to recap because this is really confusing information. If this is where approximately the other cities are, our debt is going to keep us above that for those several years. What you do with fire is then going to determine that gap placement. And the reason we're showing you that, it was also brought up, like I said, I have a list of things that I've been asked to make sure are discussed in some form. Since we're on that topic of finances, why does that also matter? We want to remember that our marketability with all of the developments that we have in place, we do have to look at the potential impact to having something that, even though that's not the exact number, if that is the gap to the other communities, what does that do to our market impact? We have, Clint could of course address it better. We have TIF models in place right now based upon our development producing and continuing to develop at certain timelines. If that should fall off because suddenly we look unattractive from a market perspective, then now we are going to be levying even more because we're going to have to make up any of those shortfalls. And so the market economic impact to our community is something that we don't want to forget. We did have a little bit of a list of things, kind of, I don't want to say pro and con, but just all points to be subjective and to be listened to. That potential impact there affects a few things. Number one, that marketability. Again, that impacts our rate of growth. It could impact the TIF modeling, which could incur additional levying to cover the debt. I already explained at the town hall meeting that it is going to also reduce our sales tax revenue, which again could also cause additional levying. And then the other thing that I would mention too is when we're looking at a levy that's up here, we did not build into this budget in any form yet the ability to handle the asset management and upcoming market wage increases that we would need to make sure we're responsibly monitoring in order to retain staff. I bring that up only because, when you hired me, that was some of our discussion about making sure that we're managing asset management for our existing infrastructure to make sure that we're doing that responsibly and at the least cost value to our citizens. Because of the debt and because of what we're facing with fire right now, we did not incorporate in any kind of asset management protocol. We also did not incorporate in responsible COLA and growth percentages for employee wages. When you're looking at numbers like this, we couldn't put anything else in it. So I just wanted you to remember that those are things that have to be a part of that decision. That sounds kind of like a negative and a con with keeping the department. And so out of respect and responsibility, we wanted to make sure that we also mentioned some of the pros of keeping the department because those are pretty heavy and they're pretty impacting. And I don't say that to sway in any way. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again publicly. Being honest about what those impacts are is not something that I think should sway a decision, but I definitely think it's something that should be part of a decision so that no matter which way we go, if you decide to keep it, you've kept it with full knowledge of what we are in for and how we need to mitigate and manage. Not to sway, but to do it with responsible direction that we're like, okay, we're keeping it, but these are real realities that we are going to face. So how will we manage them? That's why that is brought up. On the flip side of it, what would be something you'd call a pro on keeping it? And that would be obviously having control over that tax dollar. Once you do give up local control, you don't have the ability to say what that levy is going to be anymore. I know that our costs would drive the levy, but when it's out of our control, we have no ability to impact that number. And then, of course, I'm going to go ahead and mention it. We're all thinking it, but just the heritage and the legacy of the department is obviously a big pro as well. We wanted to mention both because both apply. The numbers are huge and they're a real impact to our taxpayers. These are really big numbers. And again, if we're really doing asset management and we're monitoring employee retention and growth, I don't know how I'm going to do that with those kind of numbers. So it has to be stated because it's an honest statement and part of the decision.
Amy?
I have a question for Captain Newman. We got some information from the county. I'm curious if the city tracks what our average response time is.
So that used to be easier, and I don't know if one of the guys back there, if Ben could tell me with our new software. We've had to transition softwares. It used to be a lot easier, and I know Councilwoman Gregory probably remembers my reports I used to give, Quick Given, that had some of that in there. That was a big part of why I did those reports, was to be able to show that. But 911 switched the CAD, the computer-aided dispatch, and those times are, I haven't figured out a way to be able to get those times accurately like I used to with the old system. So short answer, we don't have that now, the average. I know, of course, when we're on duty, they're fast. I mean, they're going to be in the same time frame as Sedgwick County, if not faster. We've got a smaller area typically that we're responding to. So if it's in the city limits, I would say faster than what Sedgwick County said theirs were, but I don't have that data to give you.
I mean, it's unfortunate that we have the county's information that says 14 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes, and we don't have anything to counteract that. For me, my vote's going to be about safety, number one. I mean, the taxes is a concern, but I want our firefighters and our citizens to be as safe as they possibly can. So that's why I asked about the response time. Something that was brought up earlier that I had questions about is the medical calls, because there's not a lot of structure fires. There's a lot of medical calls. Is there like a recommended response time for medical like there is with structure fires, or no?
Well, not that I'm aware of. I'll look back at my lieutenant. No. I mean, that's something, the city decided we wanted to do a long time ago. Probably the mayor may remember, when we used to have our own EMS and then we transitioned or went to Sedgwick County's EMS. The police used to be the initial first responder. We were never EMTs. We had basic CPR, basic first aid. And so the city wanted to provide a better service for the citizens and decided then, that's when we decided, we would started adding full-time personnel and so that we could respond to those medical calls with better trained personnel.
Do you see that changing in any way if we were to go to the county? I mean, they have trained paramedics as well, right?
They respond to medical calls as well in their areas.
And I guess my last, more of a comment, I feel like we don't have enough information to make a decision, specifically like what the contract terms would look like from the county and the negotiation, of making sure our firefighters have a job and get good wages and they agree to replace the fire truck, different things like that. And then more specifically, what that cancellation clause may look like, because that was a very sketchy area in the town hall, them talking about whether or not we could cancel at any point, and I'm hearing different stories. So I feel like I don't have enough information to make a decision, and I would like to pursue the possibility of the county just so that we can see what those terms of the contract would look like.
So I do want to be clear about a couple of things to try to help, I hope, maybe. But definitely continue, you need to wait until everyone has all their questions answered. I'm going to take that in a couple of pieces. The information that you were given, it was given to you because it was made clear at the public hearing that it was a piece of information that hadn't been given to you. So I certainly wanted to rectify that. That information, if we brought to you at the next meeting a list from our side that had the same data, you're now going to have two lists that show both have been impaired, both have missed the mark. And we're not trying to ice that over. I think it will start to make more sense now that you're seeing that as to why that was a statement that I made at both this council meeting and the public hearing, is that when you start looking at those, what you're going to find at the end is, again, the same statement we keep making, which is both entities have missed the mark, both entities have had good response times, and both entities have had poor response times, which is what happens in fire services. And I've made the comment before that happens less often when it's a career department, but it does still happen. We are still very happy to provide for you guys those numbers, because if you want them, we want you to have them. I just want to be upfront in saying that what you're going to see is where we ended up, and that is both have missed the mark. And that's likely not going to just end because and you let me know if that's an incorrect statement, but it does happen. And so much of the focus has been put on these response times and the number of staff there, the NFPA recommendation. And because that is the statement that's been made as to why we're all in this position today, our focus is so streamlined and targeted on it. And as I said earlier, when you take your eyes off of that for a minute even though I know that's the recommended goal. And yes, we all want to be safe and we want together. When you take your eyes off of that for a minute, when you put this proof in front and this proof in front and this proof in front, you're going to end up at the same position. And that is, what level of service are we willing to have in Valley Center? It is my understanding that status quo is not an option for us. If that is accurate, we know we're doing one or the other. And then when you get to that point, you're going to get, and again, tell me if I'm wrong, but you're going to get the same, you're really going to get the same level of response times on both scenarios. Is that accurate or not? So and we will get that information for you. I just want to be very upfront about that. You're going to end up with the same level of response times, regardless of who is running the station.
I just see 15 separate instances, and I guess my question is more like, I don't know how many total there are. Is that 10%? Is that 80%? I mean, that was my question.
That's going to be a smaller percentage, I'm sure. And as Sandra said, we can find the same on them. We can probably, if you have 15 on that list, we can probably go back further in history and find additional. There's going to be times where that happens. There's so many factors, given our current makeup today, there's so many factors that play into that. That's not, I can't sit here and tell you that that'll never happen again, because as she said, in reality, it will. And that doesn't matter if our name is on the door of the fire truck or if Sedgwick County Fire District 1 is on the door of that truck. It's going to happen again. And then if I could ask you to clarify one of your questions, you mentioned at the end about a contract ending. Could you clarify that question?
About the contract?
Yeah, at the end.
Well, Sandra earlier said that if we are leaning in the direction of having Sedgwick County take over the fire services, we would then start negotiating a contract. And I feel like we should have that contract language when we make the decision.
I agree with that. What we did try to do in advance of the decision was to determine what does that even look like? That's actually why we had that very large list of Q&A questions, because we needed to know what's going to happen with our firemen. Are you going to have a building in Valley Center? We've been given those answers. So the part that we need to work through, if Valley Center City Council is moving in that direction, has to do more with the logistics of how we go there. And if, just to be, again, very honest, one thing we're trying to figure out right now, because there is a statutory process to enter into the fire district, I'm trying to make sure that there's a contractual provision that can be had to guarantee some of those interests. We've gotten their answers. We know the answers. We were thorough about our questions. So now I'm just trying to make sure that we've evaluated all possibilities to ensure that those answers are carried out. So I want to be clear in saying that what we're trying to evaluate right now is, what does that process look like? Does a contract play into that? And I know legal can help us with that. We know the 80% of the answers. We still have 20% of working through the details. Like, for example, what equipment would Fire District 1 for sure be interested in? There's some logistics like that, but those primary critical questions about how they're going to staff it, how our service level is going to be, how their response times are going to be, those are all in that Q&A that was reported to that meeting in this room, because those are, I know you're feeling like I need to know those things, so I want to make sure I didn't mislead you. Those answers are already provided. They have already given response on what their position will be for Valley Center. I think for me, I was just trying to make sure that we could evaluate any possible mechanisms to ensure that those decisions are locked in and non-negotiable. Did that make more sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, my question is was this in writing or is it just talk? So I'm glad you're on top of that. I think the most critical question that has not been answered is, will they continue with the auto aid if we stay independent? And I mean, that's a huge piece of the puzzle, right? Because
It is, and we've received verbal confirmation that is going to be part of the agreement. And again, let's recap that for just a little bit. The auto aid is beneficial to us. Obviously, if we bolstered and we didn't have auto aid from anyone, we're unsafe again.
Yeah.
So we have a large problem again. So we're going to need auto aid from somewhere. Just stating that, but without having that auto aid, we would be in quite the position. But without the auto aid, we do believe that Sedgwick County would also be in a position because of particular townships that we geographically sit in between with Sedgwick County Station and that area that is in their district that they serve. So I'm not them. I can't tell you that I can guarantee that we're going to have it. I can tell you that there is a interest on both parties to have it. And I can tell you we've received a verbal that it's on the table if we bolster and meet the standards. Again, that's to me where I want to, I don't want to see this stuff in writing at this, not because of any reason except that we're just working under a potentially very tight timeline and making some quick decisions based on that. And we just would like to see some assurances on that. And again, that's nothing but good business. That's not to suggest either party would be irresponsible on any part, but that's just, I think, part of being responsible and doing good business. And so that's something we would want to look at next. I don't know if that answers or not, but.
yes, thank you.
Matt?
Go back to where you figured in to the budget, what it would take to get us fully staffed in the budget. Is there a fire truck figured into that number? Because are we going to need a fire truck coming up in the next 3 to 5 years? Is that in that model?
The new number that was 18.4 plus on the 26 side and 16.99 on the 2027 side did have a payment for the fire truck coming up. It did not have a bond payment for a new facility. I did not calculate in, I shouldn't say Clint. That's all Clint's very, very hard work. I want to make sure he gets the credit for that. It did not have, that was just, if we are, a statement was made earlier that that station is busting at the seams. If we're actually looking at a new building, we don't have that modeled in. But it does have the new truck.
This is just a random question because Derby had an accident with one of their fire engines. What if our engine goes down? What if it's got mechanical problems? What did we do? Do we go rent one from somewhere, or what happens there?
No, we would end up utilizing, so if it's the new engine, we're going to utilize the engine tender while that's getting repaired or fixed. And the engine tender is the one that we would need to be replacing in the near future.
We have 2 of those, right?
We have,
Currently?
we have an engine tender, and then we have just a tender. So the engine tender is what it sounds like. It's in between, holds more water than the engine, but also holds a lot of the equipment and the pumps. And
Thank you.
Ben?
Lloyd, I've got a logistical question. So it's not going to change. And what Cindra said earlier, our coverage and response times are going to be the same, whichever way we go. Virtually the same.
virtually the same.
So they brought up a lot of specifics. So I have a specific question about something that just happened Saturday. We had a fire call at a local business, and I have an app that sends me stuff in the area, and it sends a reading of what's been talked about on the radio. It prints it out. So the question I have is, who's in command when that call goes out? Paul Prince had it called in. They had a light. According to this, they smelled something and a light went out. So it got called out as a structure fire. Did we respond to that? Are we put in command of the fire that's in our city, or is Sedgwick County put in command of that?
So when our units arrived, our units were first on scene. And when they arrived, they went inside to investigate. County arrived on scene and assumed command.
Okay.
And that was on Friday, just to be clear. That
Friday, I'm
was on
sorry.
Friday.
So my question is that caught my attention on this is Engine 13, which is Wichita's company that sits at Riverlawn Church. They said, do you want Engine 13 to respond? Someone on the radio said, sure. And Engine 13 said, show us on the building fire. How is Wichita, without an aid agreement, getting called into our city? And I'm not mad that it happened, but I want to know our hierarchy of who's in charge of it and who's saying, yeah, go ahead and come this way.
So in that case, and it's happened before, that's not the first time Wichita has came out. In that case, they asked Sedgwick County, and Sedgwick County responded.
So Wichita
Yes.
asked, would you like us to respond?
Yes.
And Sedgwick
they
County
did.
said yes, but that was prior to them showing up on the scene.
Proper protocol would have been for them to ask our personnel, our supervisor, and they could have gave the affirmative and or the request. And
The officials from Sedgwick County were pretty demonstrative about protocols and all this stuff. And to me, that's something that at the end of the day, they were making sure we had coverage on this. And that's how things work out when people that are on duty are working. And it just caught my attention because Wichita got called in and I wanted to know how that worked out. That was just an instance that happened. From what I understand, it turned out not to be a fire.
correct.
So
And
everything
just
worked out.
Since you brought that up, I will tell you, as we progress, as time goes on, the number of structure fire calls we receive are probably going to increase. There's been a change on the 911 side and the CAD. And so that, where that call might have come out last year, that may have came out as check wiring. Now to err on the side of caution to get units en route, it's going to come out as a structure fire. They're going to assume the worst essentially until units get there and find otherwise.
A follow-up
Happen a
to
lot more often.
a follow-up to protocol and piggybacking off of our town hall, they talked about safety of firefighters being number one. Do they dispatch EMS to a structure fire to be on stand? I mean, to me, if you're going to have a possibility of needing assistance, I don't think they have enough units to send them to every fire call they have.
Correct.
But that was something they talked about, having enough firefighters to pull them out. But once they get them out of the building, if there happens to be an issue, where are they going? Nowhere, unless they have an EMS there.
Correct.
And
It
so
would-
that, to me, that plays into part of this. I don't think we're getting, the gold star service by switching to the county. Like, I don't think it's just absolutely, we were progressing to this at a slow curve and now we're ramping it up. And part of that is our saying that we need to bolster because of safety. But I don't think we should be short-sighted and give it up for a short-term financial relief. And I hear it. It's a huge part of it, but we also have to look at not just short-term, but long-term. And that's the feeling I have on that. I have been contacted through email or phone calls from 24 people. 22 of them would like for us to keep our fire department. They do a fantastic job. They pretty much all mimic the same. I had two people that said they just soon join Sedgwick County because of the tax hit. They think that that's where they want to go with that. For us, it would be easy to switch to Sedgwick County. We wouldn't have to worry about our fire anymore. But I don't think the easy way out is necessarily the right answer. And I just don't want to give up our fire for that reason. Cinder, I have a procedural question. When I asked about if we need to make a decision on this tonight, and you brought up some questions about not having all the answers. we can't really have an unofficial vote. I mean, we could. But if we voted to keep our fire department and that failed, that doesn't mean we're joining Sedgwick County.
No.
And we're not disbanding our fire department because we would have to have a vote to do all that logistically. But if we've
Correct.
made a motion tonight to keep our fire department, we could vote on that. And if it passed, then we can move forward with all of the logistics and the accounting that it takes and the planning to bolster, correct?
That would be an accurate procedural
Okay.
account.
And I had that question earlier when I asked about that, so I'm done. Thank you.
I have a question. Can I ask a firefighter a question?
You have the firefighter rep, I'd start there, and then
Okay.
I'd ask the mayor after that.
Okay. Lloyd, when we look at the safety issues for these guys, and that would be a priority. And we know numbers of fighters is important to be on site. What are besides having the numbers, minus the tax paying issue, the pros of having a larger unit here in Valley as the community grows? Number one is that we'll be prepared. But the cons today is the county threw it at us and we have such a short span to make it work. So my question to you is, since you're the chief, how can we, every other area of our community and yet providing for our firefighters?
I'm not sure I completely understand that. If you're asking, can we keep it the way it is today until 2032 without aid? I think the answer is we're putting our firefighters and our community at risk. And so I think bolstering, if we want to keep our fire department, bolstering is the answer to that. Councilmember Anderson mentioned it earlier. I also discussed it with Councilmember Stam. The plan has been to increase and to go to a 24/7. That's been part of the talks. I don't remember the 10 to 15 year time frame being part of the talks, but that has been part of the talks because the community has grown. I can tell you, I gave Sandra her tour of the city when she came here for her interviews. We talked about fire and we talked about what that looked like. And if certain things happened in the community, we had to talk about 24/7. I know, as you said, it's been, thrust upon us. And that, I think that makes us have to make that decision now. I can't stand up here and tell you that I am okay. Council gets to make the decision, can make whatever decision they want. But I can't stand up here and tell you I'm comfortable leaving our fire department as is without auto aid and that my firefighters or our citizens would be safe. I can't make that statement. And I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about or if you're asking for something different.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
If we stayed
that's,
status quo.
yeah, I can't, I think that would be irresponsible of me to sit here and tell you that they would be safe without that type of aid. We've talked about the larger departments. Even the larger departments rely on their partners for auto aid. Sedgwick County relies on Wichita for auto aid. Wichita relies on Sedgwick County for auto aid. I don't remember the exact numbers, something like 6,000 calls to 4,000 calls. Even they, huge career departments, rely on each other. I can't stand up here and tell you that my guys or our community would be safe if we keep it as is without those agreements.
So this question's for Sandra. If we bolster and we go up 70 mills, are we still cutting every other corner in our community, in our budget? In order, or will that 70 mills cover, let's say, our library, our parks, or our roads? Or is it 70 mil
That's just for the fire department.
just for the fire?
So that's everything.
Okay.
The 70 was a total. And again, that's an estimation based on 26, but yes, that would be everything included in there, which would be the increase that we know we have to put in employee benefits, the increase in the debt service, and then the increase in fire was all in that 70. What was not in there was the new station. If that's what you were
So,
asking.
yes. So this affects everybody in the, go ahead.
Well, and I'm not sure if I understand exactly what you're saying. If you're also asking, when you said other areas, I don't know if you mean city departments or city itself. So if you're asking, again, like, how do we manage those other city departments right now? As I said earlier, with a 70+ mill levy, and we haven't dealt with some of the maintenance and responsibilities in the other departments, that is an issue. Is that what you meant by the
Yes.
areas of
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm making sure I'm
That's okay.
following. Yeah, obviously, the other departments take a hit to that because we can't continue, we won't be able to increase to meet the needs that we need to in there. We would be too gun shy to increase on anything at this point with a mill levy like that.
Jeannie, you're asking if that budget is basically mirroring what we currently have and not making a bunch of cuts in other departments is what you're asking.
Well, I'm saying if the 70 mills, are we going to basically mirror it? Or are we going to have to still cut out parks?
That
and
that
cut out
70 mills
library?
wasn't cutting a bunch of stuff out of other departments. I think is what she's asking.
No cutting.
Yeah.
But we did not meet some of the increases we would
And the
normally
needs.
meet.
Right. Right.
Sorry to jump in there.
No,
I thought I.
that-
Thank
understood what
you.
were
No,
asking.
I'm sorry I wasn't understanding that.
One thing I just want council to remember was we still have about $1.5 million gap in the years ahead. That right now, we have to find a way to make up. My personal fear on keeping the fire department, and again, I'm not trying to sway anything. I'm just giving you information. My personal concern is if we kept it and it led to people being less interested in moving to our community, then the models that I showed you a month ago, where we have $1.5 million gap, could become 2 or 3 or 4 or a number that we're not going to be able to control. That's what has me nervous right now. We had 5 different models when I met with Baker Tilly, from extremely pessimistic to extremely optimistic on how quickly we could fill up that TIF district. And that is the big thing that's really hard for us to pay for right now. We went with the middle model. When we had that meeting, there was no fire discussion. I almost feel like I should move one more down the pessimistic scale and represent to you, because even what I gave you a month ago with the numbers that we're seeing here, it could get quite a bit worse. And my concern is we're going to get a 3% cap next year. So what does that mean? That means that if I have a $100 million valuation, I only have 103 the next year. That's the whole valuation that we have to pay the city with. If we now have fire, we're running the entire city general fund at 22 mills, and that includes police, every department over here except Rodney's, City Hall, Senior Services. We're running the whole city at 22 mills. Fire is 18 mills. So it's almost half of our city right now. So if we got into a tight budget situation, I'm not going to be able to pull from there. We're going to have to cut services somewhere in that 22 mills on the other side. I don't know where it would be, because we have to make the bond payment. If we do not make the bond payment, it all unravels. That really is the driving force. Everything else has to be done after that bond payment. So I do want to understand there is risk involved if we had a downturn or if we became less attractive to people wanting to move to Valley Center. My models that I showed you last month would be incorrect.
Clint, I have one more question for you. Just for everybody that has to pay taxes. If the mills go up like you feel like they will, and we're levied at that level, on the basic, what, Matt, you said $250,000 house, how much more taxes would that person pay if we kept our fire department here?
Unfortunately, just didn't calculate that exactly tonight. I don't have.
That was all presented at the town hall meeting. I'd have to go, do you want me to get that out of my
It's
file?
like $50 a month.
I wasn't there last week, so I apologize. I just wasn't prepared for that question tonight.
I think this is what you're looking for.
That's for the commercial, residential.
Make sure I'm understanding. You're asking, and this is the increase in fire. This is representative of the increase in fire only.
Right.
It does not have the additional debt in there. It does not have the additional employee benefits. So if you're asking what the additional increase in just bolstering the fire department and
Yes, to
keeping the
keep-
fire
To
department
keep
forward.
the fire department here, how much more would we pay a month?
Go back one. There's 4. So right now, a $250,000 home, currently today pays $302 a year for fire. That's just fire, again, just fire. And if we were to bolster bringing the mills from 10.52 up to 16.988, it would bring it from 302 to 488, which is an increase of $185 a year. You had a $300,000 commercial property currently paying $789 for fire. And if we bolstered, it would go up to $1,274, which is an increase of $485 a year.
So if we're willing to pay more for our fire services through taxes, we can keep it here.
Yes, so both
Basically.
options were within a literal small amounts of dollars of
It was
each
a
other.
It was a small amount.
Yes, yes, both will be an increase and both are very close together at present. Not with a new fire station. Sedgwick County's numbers in potential there that only certain entities, certain taxing districts are capped at 3%. We cannot answer that because each version of that bill did include some entities and then didn't have all the entities, and there was discussion about why isn't
So
school
basically, we
involved?
Don't have an answer to it.
No,
until-
nobody has an answer on that. And I want to make sure that I didn't disrupt Councilmember Daniels' inquiry too. So I'm going to bring back around because I never want to shield the voice of the firefighters themselves. If there is a question, and that I'm going to lean to the mayor's discretion on that. If there's a question you want to ask directly, I definitely don't want to. I wanted to say that, but the conversation kept going. The appropriate response comes probably from the public safety director first, but if there's still information you want to glean from them and you believe that there are firefighter members that want to speak, I want to leave that opportunity out there for certain.
Go through the chain of command. Yeah. Lloyd. Matt?
On the numbers that Jeannie asked about the increase of $180 a year, that's just in 2027. 2028, it could be more. 2029, it could be more.
Yes, in the numbers that were presented, we have made it clear also that we project our mill to increase just because of what we have seen happen with our HR numbers and the fact that we are a smaller employer. And so we are not in the same, obviously there's different rate plans available to larger employers. We know what group we're in. We have been experiencing increases in health costs and other HR benefits. And so, yes, we do know that ours would likely increase. And we've made that clear in public as well, that we anticipate our number to go higher. I can't speak for them, and I can't guarantee what Sedgwick County is going to do. They have stated that their number is going to either remain or go lower. I'm not them.
I kind of want to put this to bed tonight if we can, but I want to have my say. 25 years ago, we had our own ambulance service, and we give it up for the county with pie in the sky promises of 24-hour ambulance service in our building. And as I know we don't have, I don't know how the dispatch goes, but I kind of feel that we probably took a hit losing that too. But I know that the county would make us promises because they don't have to keep them if they don't want to. So I'd kind of like this council to make a decision on whether we're going with the fire, keeping our fire department, or going with the county, just so our staff has direction on getting hard facts and hard numbers. They can deal with the county that way, saying Valley Center is going with that. We're going to stay independent. this is what we are going to do. Now, what are you going to help us with? My comments to Commissioner Beatty and the fire chief was, if we man up to your standards, we're going to get the same treatment you give Wichita and you give Derby. Because they make 6,000 calls in Wichita. That's a lot of cash that's coming out of the county budget just for calls that a fully staffed Wichita has. So, they ought to treat Valley Center the same way. But like I said, it's not my call. This council's got to vote, but I feel that our staff needs a direction. Clint needs a direction because he needs to get hard numbers together. Sandra needs direction so she can do hard-nosed negotiation. Our firefighters need a direction so they kind of feel at ease or whatever's going on there. We just got to do something. I had experience with the fire department Saturday, and I was quite impressed with the response we had. County came in, it was auto aid, they came in, but they got called off about 3 blocks from my house. So the guys did well. In fact, they did more than I wanted them to because I said, I got the fire out, fellas. But they strung hoses. They didn't take my word for it. So they did well. I was proud of them. But we just got to do something. We can maul this thing over and over and over. But until we got direction for our staff to go, we can't. They're not going to be able to do anything for us. So I think this council needs to buckle up, Buttercup, and make a decision. We can always undo the decision. If we get the numbers in and they're crazy, we can go to the county and say, hey, take it over. But we've got to have a good reason to. You know what I'm saying? We've got to give our staff direction. And that's what we've got to do. So Ben's idea of getting a vote and yay or nay with approval pending all the information, that sounds okay to me too. But we've got to give our staff direction to go. Because we keep asking the same questions and keep getting the same answers. We pretty well got everything we need to know, I think. So that's my opinion. If I could get a motion to do either one, I would appreciate it.
I move to retain our fire department and begin planning to bolster.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to maintain our fire department and bolster it up to the standard it needs to be. Is there any further comments or questions? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion didn't carry. So you need a head count to get it all? Got it? Okay. Okay, moving on to new business. Request for the Fall Festival street closures. Pardon me?
Go, you're fine. Go ahead. No, please. Oh, yeah. I apologize. Before you move off of that topic, is that intended direction for staff to continue to pursue something else, or will there just be additional time and we'll discuss it again in 2 weeks? I'm sorry, I wasn't clear on next steps for staff.
Well, the motion was made. Oh, go ahead.
For myself, I'm not ready to say that.
Okay.
yet. I need more.
So is there anything you need of staff in the interim? We can prepare some numbers. Is there anything else? And I just want to make sure, because in the 2-week time frame, because then we will be at the end. So I just want to make sure that we're delivering anything that council needs in that 2 weeks.
Amy?
One of the things I asked for at the town hall that Lloyd wasn't able to answer is how long would it take to bolster the department? So that would be good. And again, my focus is safety. So I would like to know what those response times looks like, and I would always also like to know what happens from 7P to 7A. Is that covered by paramedics or just EMTs?
So the timeline to bolster, I mean, we've already, myself and some of the staff, we've already began our discussions as far as what that looks like, what we would be doing. I can't give you an exact timeline as is, we would have to, we'd have to open up what we first, we would probably have to come back to council, get permission to go out for, an RFP for the remodel, because that's going to take money. And then, at the same time, we're going to be advertising for open positions. And then we're also going to be looking in to finishing the facilities, adding the personnel. We've already got a training regimen put together. I mean, we utilize that now when we hire people. So, it's going to take some time. Not knowing how long it, takes to find the full-time personnel.
How long
I
does it
think
take
the
to
fire
train?
side is a little quicker, or has been, in my experience. The fire side has been quicker for me than the police side. Police side's a lot harder than the fire side has been. We've been fortunate on the fire side to get people pretty quick. And so, but all that can change. So I can't give you an exact timeline on that. And then what was the other question on the?
What does coverage look like today from 7P to 7A?
So 7P to 7A, no, the guys still respond. That's what I was trying to say
Like
earlier. So
paramedics are on call, or EMTs, or?
the full-time guys respond back. Part-time can still respond in as well. It depends on the type of call. Typically, if it's a medical call, the part-time guys aren't necessarily responding in. It's going to be my full-time guys. And so right now, they get their page, they respond from home up to the station, get the vehicle they need, depending on the type of call, and then respond to the call.
Okay. And then my other question would be, what does like a out clause look like with the county? Because they weren't real clear on
An
what that
out
process
clause
is.
as far as
Like if we.
pulling
if
back
we-
out of the fire district.
Yeah.
So if we were to go into the fire district and we give up what we have today, I mean, the citizens, from what I've read, because Sandra and I were doing research and meeting for quite a while today, I think it would take a petition of 51% of the voters in our community would have to petition the county commission to be removed from the fire district. And so that would be part of that. But then, just to be clear, on top of that, we're not talking about, spreading out fire trucks and things over the years. We're talking about buying them all at once. I can tell you our two biggest trucks are both in today's value. Our current engine was around, I think we ended up a little under 800,000 because we paid up front. But in today's value, we're paying $1 million for that engine and $1 million for that engine tender. So the cost, once we give it all up to come back, is going to be astronomical.
And I'm going to make a clarification point on that, Lloyd. When we were reading that statute today, I know we read that petition process to go into the district. Do you recall then that was the same? Because I wasn't sure that that's how you got it.
We would have to look at legal, but that's what I remember reading. We could come back to you on that. It's still a process. And I know from the town hall, it still goes through the county commission, or the county commission, fire district board. They're the same folks, but it's going to go through them for that removal process.
I think we still need to get full clarification on that he's probably got a better memory than I do, and I'm going to tell him he was right. But I know that was to go in. We need to confirm that there was those same procedural steps to go out of the district. He's probably right. I'm probably wrong.
Eric?
Lloyd, ballpark figure me a new public safety building 6 years from now.
That's hard to do as cost.
Spot on. I just kind of want to just.
As costs fluctuate, you're looking at a lot more. I think most of you have probably been in Park City's building. Park City's building, I think, was around $7 or $8 million, and that was pre-COVID. If I had to estimate, 15 or 20 million. I don't think, but let me be clear. I would have no expectation that it could be done, that fast. I know there's, from the beginning, from when you start talking about it, it's going to take time. It's going to take 5 years at least. And that's if we find the funding mechanisms. And I'm saying, I want to clarify, we are busting at the seams. That's not an exaggeration. The areas where we can make the living quarters, I think we can make that happen. Part of that area where the restroom and showers would go is storage right now. We would have to find a new storage facility. The other room is what used to be our gym. A majority of our folks all work out at the rec center now. We haven't been utilizing the gym. That's where the sleeping quarters would be. And so that's there. But as we continue to grow, absolutely, because keep in mind, as I talk about the community growing, I think Sandra might have mentioned this at one of the meetings before as well, not talking as the community gets larger, and someone else, I think on the council mentioned it, that's probably going to require growth both on fire and police. The numbers that are current this year, that's minus 2 police officers that used to be budgeted. And so we've subtracted, during the more difficult budget years, but at some point we're going to have to add that back.
I was just curious on the number. That's kind of a scary figure when you start talking another, $20 million building in town.
Matt?
I guess maybe I missed something. I thought we voted to give staff direction on what they needed to do, and now we're back to wanting more information. What was the purpose of the vote then?
Thank you.
Because I think you guys are probably still confused on what direction, when I thought we voted to give you direction, now some people are wanting more information.
Mayor, you're probably the more appropriate person to answer that. But I would say that there was a vote on the floor to retain fire services and the vote failed. After that, that was it. And so then, I apologize, so dearly apologize, Allison, because I've delayed us. But I wasn't necessarily clear if what that meant next. And so I was just trying to confirm what does that mean next? It sounds like, and correct me please if I think I understand now that we'll be visiting this again in 2 weeks. And then I wanted to make sure if there was anything that staff needed to do to come back in 2 weeks so that there was any other information that's necessary to produce this vote. Because we are under this gun that this decision does need to be made by the next meeting in order to make the budget cycle deadlines. Of course, I don't think this is, I'm sharing all information. I don't think this is necessarily, according to our public safety director, this is not an option, but that deadline is only there if we're making a change. I just want to be clear about that. We have this deadline over our heads. It's hanging over us and waiting on everything. That deadline is only there if we're making a change. If we don't make a change, we lose auto aid. We've got to find some way to survive. We've been told very clearly that that's unsafe and we can't proceed in that direction. But I just want to be very clear. The pressure that we're feeling is on a budget deadline because we have to be able to pay for this if we're retaining it. And we also don't want to levy it if we're not. I'm not sure if I'm taking us back down a rabbit hole, but just to be clear.
Just strictly talking budget deadline, if we pushed it off 2 weeks and make a decision then, I could still pull the budget off by October 1st. Anything after that date, we're going to have special additional council meetings during the week to handle the budget. October 1st is a hard date that everything has to be done, and I have to do a very, very large state form budget by that date. There are no extensions for any reason. So we really are out of time 2 weeks from now. That's as late as I can push it unless we want to start having additional council meetings during the week in the weeks that follow. October 1st is our true hard deadline.
October 1st is the hard deadline to certify the budget, but there are deadlines prior to that for publication requirements, so that we can't go all the way to October. We could provide alternative special meeting date options, but we're going to have to calculate those dates first.
So my question was over the motion that was made. It was to retain and bolster, and that failed. But that doesn't mean that our fire department is being disbanded and we're joining Fire District 1.
Correct.
That is correct, and that's how I interpret that.
Okay. So what would it take for us to join Fire District 1 procedurally?
First, I would need direction from the council that that's a path that is wanting to be pursued, so we can verify, again, that's where our non-negotiables come in. How do we secure our interests at that point? And I need to start the path of verifying how we do that to the best interest of the city. If that is a contractual agreement, which still is yet to be determined, then that's what I'd be bringing back in as you start to make that motion. And there's a statutory process, as Director Newman mentioned, through the petition process and that procedural process. So we would bring all of that information in and start talking you through that process. It starts with direction before any official action. And we can pursue direction, but we'll pass those budget deadlines, which is where it gets tricky for us to hold on to the option of retaining the fire department.
Cinder, you asked if there was anything the staff could do between now and the next meeting. I'd like to task the staff with, whether it's Chief or you or Clint, with coming up with solutions to financially bolster this, to keep the fire department here, whether that be, okay, we will intently look at a half-cent sales tax. We will continue to try to bring in, not more housing developments, because I know how that works with you. But the point is there will be more tax base as we get 700 houses built here in town. How can we manage? So I was kind of asking Chief earlier, how can we navigate this between now and then till we can have the increase that we need to really truly fund the fire department as it should be? So I know you can't say, oh, we're going to have cent sales tax. That's not the way it works. I get that. But I mean, ideas that you feel like could be logical to actually produce some income to support the department, whether it's police or the police fire department. Like I think Derby did that, and they were able to, took them several years. Obviously, they were able to fund their department. So maybe some ideas that aren't just floating ideas that could possibly become real. That's what I would task you guys with.
That's a big task. We will investigate.
Dan?
So I just want to make it clear that that vote does not end our fire department. We could vote again at the next meeting
Very
with more
correct.
information. Because I'm not willing to give up our fire department, and I will never vote to join currently Fire District 1. I just don't think we're getting that much of a benefit. And I know the money's scary. I just don't think us pushing that off to Fire District 1, we're still taxing our citizens. Just we're not collecting it and we're not staffing.
You are correct, and I will try to make clear again that there was a vote on the floor to retain it. If the vote had passed, then the solution would be in our hands. The vote failed, so we still have no solution in our hands.
That's what I wanted to make clear. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm officially done.
Moving on to the request for the Fall Festival street closures. beginning September 24th.
Not really sure I want to follow all of that anyways. A little heavy. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am here to request the official request of the street closures for the Fall Fest. Both of the letter and the map that I included this year were sent to Chief Newman, Rodney, and Neil, and to Sandra, and I did not hear anything back that there were any issues. There's no changes. And I think that is it. It's just all on one page. I did include the map, especially for, we have new council members, not that you're new to the Fall Fest, but actually where the closures are, and then for Cindra's benefit as well to see where those roads are closed at. And so I will stand for any questions if anyone has any.
Ron.
Hi.
How are you?
Haven't seen you for a while.
I know you look good.
3 questions. First, have you got any notification from the base as far as the parade?
Not since you and I last spoke. No, I have not.
Please let me know before the end of the month.
I will do that.
So we can get the correct paper for that.
Okay.
The other one was, you remember the truck we had here parked in front of the building here for veterans? They have questions for.
Yes.
Whatever they have. And I noticed it was here in town already. Again. Is that correct?
I have no knowledge on that, if it was here again since.
Okay, good. Because I did get a call from them and they said nobody contacted them with any information or anything.
I did not have anyone reach out to the chamber or through the chamber.
The parade this year, where are you looking at for it to stop? All the way to the tracks or?
So it is officially, it ends at Clay. So that would be after Pizza Hut is the official end of the parade. Where the floats end up after that is always a bit of a, let's see where they're going to go and turn around. But it ends at Clay.
Can you think of anything else?
I'll tell you real quick on that. We disperse foot traffic at Clay, and we try to disperse the floats down Ramsey when we can. Some of them choose to cross the tracks. We try to prevent that. We try to discourage that.
Okay, great. Let me know if you need help, especially contacting the base. There are programs that are going on out there right now. Well, we want to make sure that we get on the list and stay on the list.
Absolutely. I'll follow up with you tomorrow or Thursday.
Okay, great. Appreciate
Thank you.
I move to approve requests for Fall Festival street closures beginning September 24th through September 27th, 2026, and signage in the right-of-way, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request for the Fall Festival street closings and ROW for signage. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to Arbor Valley Phase 2, change order number 3.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'll be standing up here for SEH. We're bringing to you this change order has to do with the water line that comes from Arbor Valley and connects into Soterra. They're asking for $3,800 since we had to purchase extra easement, and there was a delay in that for moving that water line, and this is remobilization cost for Meese.
Any questions or comments? Ben?
Rodney, is this a City of Valley Center issue or was this an SEH issue?
I don't know as if I could specifically point it, what happened was the original pathway for that water line, when the electrical came through, the power came through Soterra, there was a pad mount transformer placed in the intended path of that water line. And so with that, we had to purchase extra easement in order to go 45 degrees, move over and go around that transformer with the water line. So I don't know, Cindy, you want to help me out with that one?
Yeah. This is, is it change order number 2?
This is change order
Yeah.
3.
The one right before it was brought to council because of the water line needing to be relocated. The design plans did not have the pad mount transformer in it. And when council approved that, because again, we really didn't have a choice, we've got to put the water line in to loop and connect these two subdivisions. And when that was approved last time, I did give council kind of a pre-warning that because of the easement, you could expect another change order with the remobilization. And that's what this is. Now that we have the easement secured, we have the cost of an additional $3,800 to remobilize because easement was needed. We tried to hurry and get the change order passed last time to avoid this. But when we saw there was not enough room to physically place the line and we were going to have to go onto a lot instead, that's when we had to obtain more easement, cost more money.
Who created those design plans that missed the pedestal?
SEH.
Okay. I'm a little upset that they're not here to present their change orders. This is a pattern that we've seen with them, and I am not happy with the services they've been providing. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? And a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the Arbor Valley Phase 2 change order number 3 in the amount of $3,800 and authorize mayor to sign it.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve Arbor Valley Phase 2 change order number 3. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to Arbor Valley Phase 2 change order number 4.
Okay, so this goes along, this is for the same area and same reason. This is to extend the timeline, the substantial completion date to October 2nd and the final completion date to October 30th for extra time due to the delays with the easement acquisition. This is a no-cost change order. They're just asking to extend time in case they need extra time to get this done.
Questions or comments?
Move to approve Arbor Valley Phase 2 change order number 4 to extend substantial completion and final completion dates and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve Arbor Valley Phase 2 change order number 4. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to item D, acceptance of public dedication from Dill Hill South final plat.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this plat has gone through planning and zoning. Now is coming before you this evening. This is a 10-acre tract along Ford, just south of Soterra, which is platted as Dill Hill. So that's why this one is Dill Hill South. This plat is to create 2 approximately 5-acre tracts. They are, so just, so you know, there are kind of two requests this evening. So there's the acceptance of the public dedication for the plat, which the public dedications is for right-of-way easements, things like that, that are public access. So that's the council's portion of approving a plat. The other piece to this is Soterra and Arbor Valley and SM Estates and Marquez Acres. All the subdivisions along Ford are not served by sewer. They're served by water, but not by sewer. And so they are also asking for a waiver of the public sewer requirements that is in our subdivision regulations. So that is essentially the two things that the council is looking at this evening. So again, planning and zoning, this has gone through them. They've approved the plat. It is coming before the council to accept public dedications. I will also mention, if you looked at the plat, there is a drainage easement, a couple different drainage easements across the east lot. There is a pond on lots, I believe it's 17 and 18 in the Soterra subdivision. They have a pond. Their outfall structure for that pond is on one of the lots in this new subdivision. The owner of the lots in Soterra has signed a covenant, basically stating that the outfall structure is their responsibility. It's not the new lot being created's responsibility for maintenance. So just wanted to let you know that that covenant has been signed as well. I will stand for any questions you might have. The engineer on this plat is here this evening too, if you have any questions for him, or if he would like to say anything that I might have missed.
Any questions or comments? Get a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the final plat application.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve public dedications from Dill Hill South, final plat. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to acceptance of public dedication from Amber Ridge Valley Center, final plat.
Real quick before you move to the next one, could you also consider a motion to waive the requirement for public sewer?
What was that?
If you could consider a motion for waiver of the public sewer requirement for the subdivision, please.
Why do we do that? I mean, just.
So our subdivision regulations require any new subdivision to be connected to water and sewer if it's feasible. This plat specifically, because there is water out front, so water is feasible. Sewer, because other developments have been approved in the area without sewer, they have received waivers as well. It really is not feasible to serve two lots with public sewer on their own, because you'd have to extend a sewer main almost a mile to these homes to serve them. And they would have to front the cost of that on their own. So it's not necessarily feasible for them to have public sewers. They would have to have septic systems or lagoons on site.
I guess my question is these housing additions and we're not putting sewer with the water. What's the explanation for that?
I was not here when any of those others were approved.
Well, I understand that, but
So
maybe somebody might have the answer.
and Sandra might have a better answer for me.
Be surprised, Sandra, if you had the answer.
But the other subdivisions should have had sewer because they are uphill. And they would have, from my understanding from engineers, they would have had enough gravity flow to, for sewage to flow. But they were approved with waivers. And so it makes it more difficult for this one to have sewer.
And forgive me, Kyle, because I'm coming into this a little bit behind too. Just a clarification for me, does it impact the approval process to continue for what they just approved if they do or do not have the sewer waiver tonight?
I believe it would impact them, yes, because if we approve the plat and we don't waive the sewer, they then have to come to us with petitions for sewer, so they can't do anything if they don't have the waiver.
Guess that question should have been asked to the planning commission instead, huh?
Well, I'm just trying to make sure, because because it wasn't necessarily listed on the agenda.
And without remembering everything, I believe it was listed in the item, all the backup materials talked about the waiver. It just wasn't, listed as a separate motion. So Planning Commission was aware of this when they approved the plat, that they would have to get a waiver from council for sewer.
Any further questions? Get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the final plat application and waive public sewer requirement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the public dedication to Amber Ridge. Final plat. Any further discussion?
And waive the sewer, right?
Oh,
That was
and
part
waive
of
the
it that he
sewer,
added.
yeah.
That's Dill Hill.
Yep.
Pardon me?
Dill Hill.
Oh, still on the Amber Ridge one. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So we got that? Everybody understand that? Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Now we are moving on to acceptance of the final plat for Amber Ridge, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Have I lost my place?
Alrighty, so this one is a little bit easier. This was already a plat that had already been filed and approved. It was originally filed as Trails End addition to Valley Center. The residential portion of that plat sold, and the developer was wanting to change a couple of the street names, as well as change the official name of the plat, as they've been marketing the development as Amber Ridge, so they're wanting to name the plat Amber Ridge Valley Center. I will just state, when staff were reviewing the changes for this plat with the street names, best practice anymore is if there's a street already named that doesn't have a connection or will never have a connection to another street, it's not recommended that they have the same name. Because mostly with first responders, but also with mail delivery and package delivery, having streets that don't connect can be confusing when you're trying to respond or deliver. When you get to the end and you have no idea where the 900 block is because you're in the 400 block and you're half a mile away from where the 900 block is. So staff recommended, staff reviewed it and talked about this and recommended, and the developer was fine with it, renaming all of the streets in the development so that they did not have the same names as the streets in Prairie Lakes. So originally they had came with 2 street name changes. You'll see Maston Drive on there and Somerset Drive and Somerset Court. Those were the 2 that they requested. We asked Maston Drive on the right side of the screen turned into Eastridge, and we asked that it continue to be Maston Drive up to Somerset. And then at the bottom, the left side and the bottom, Tanner Trail originally curved into Stone Ridge. We asked that Tanner Trail continue up to Somerset, and then Somerset at where now Tanner Trail is displayed on the map, where that curve from Somerset going back up was also Stone Ridge. And we recommended leaving Somerset all the way up to 5th Street to try and have some cohesiveness in the street names. So again, I said it's a little bit easier. It might be a little more complicated, but the plat itself, the lots didn't change. It's the street names, the name of the plat, and then there was 2 additional utility easements added. There was one on one side of the street, but not the other. And Evergy had requested to have utility easements on both sides to make sure that they could serve everybody better. So those were the changes to this plat. So really the easements are really the majority thing. That's what your portion is, again, is accepting public dedications. So that's what is being requested this evening. And Planning and Zoning did recommend this plat for approval. And so we're asking you to accept dedications, and we will get this one signed and filed.
Any questions or comments? Get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the final plat application for Amber Ridge Valley Center and authorize the mayor to sign.
Have a motion and a second to approve the dedication of Amber Ridge final plat. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to work change direct directive for 2026 roadway.
Okay, good evening. Now this is a little different item. This is called a work change directive. This is for the 2026 roadway upgrade services, which would be the rebuild of South Seneca. What this allows for, there's anticipated areas from historical work on that road that the initial design for this is to excavate, put 6 inches of base in, and then 5 inches of asphalt. There are areas where it's anticipated that 6 inches of subbase isn't going to be enough. There's going to be unsuitable submaterial. So what this allows for is just in that instance, by unsuitable material to be be excavated and replaced, the on-site inspector and staff can approve that change each time at a unit price of $85 per cubic yard and up to $20,000 without coming before you each and every time we encounter this. So it would increase the contract price up to $20,000.
The one thing I might add to that, council challenged us at one of the last few council meetings, if there was another process we can kind of look at to avoid some of the mobilization costs that were coming our way. This particular project, if you recall, does not have engineering design plans. We're doing this as an as-built project. So we really do want to try to keep those costs down, and they're going to be on-site working. We want to try to minimize those additional mobilization fees by having to wait the 2 weeks to come into council. So we want to make sure that we're very clear what the scope of this directive could be approved for, that could be done in the field, only for the purpose of additional base and only up to this price range and only as needed on-site discovered in geology while they're working.
Ben?
And approved by city staff before. It's not an after the fact where they said we did this. It's
No.
before. I just want to make
So-
sure we're not writing them a blank check.
No.
for
We've
$20,000.
contracted inspection services through PEC. So as it says in here, this will be approved by inspector and staff.
I knew that was the
Together.
case. I just want to make sure that was reiterated.
Yes, sir.
So thank
You
you.
bet.
Any other questions or comments? We get a motion to approve. Chris?
I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and maybe I'm just tired, but is this saying that it's going to be $20,000 each time that there's
No.
a situation?
No. So as we're going, they find an area that there's unsuitable subbase and they have to dig deeper than 6 inches. So say they have to pull out 6 cubic yards of extra dirt. So that would be a cost of 6 cubic yards at $85 per cubic yard. So that cost would be added on. So we cannot approve these changes to exceed $20,000 total to increase the contract price.
Up to 20.
Up to, yes.
Okay.
So it doesn't say we're going to increase it $20,000. We have that ceiling to go
Okay.
to.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments?
Move to approve the work change directive to the 2026 roadway upgrade services not to exceed $20,000 and approve the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the work change directive 2026 roadway. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to the Valley Park School Zone Ordinance.
Do I have that page up there? Do you have the hard copy, Sandra? So I apologize for getting this to you late, and it's late in the hour as well. Unless you want me to read it, I know you got it late and you got it today. I can sit here and read it to you as well. You might have been expecting, and the title says Valley Park elementary only, but we looked, it's been decades since we've designated a school zone. So as you can imagine, our ordinance was outdated. Statute has likely changed as well, although I don't know what it said 30 years ago. And so we decided it was probably a good idea to go ahead and update or amend the ordinance and include all of the elementaries or all of the schools in the city limits, just to be specific on the locations of the school zones as well as the times. And so I can read it if you wish, or I can stand for questions.
Gina?
Reading through the Valley Park School Zone, as I understand it, this is all right around the school itself. There's nothing on Fifth Street.
Correct. And so as part of the statute, similar to the speed limit changes, part of the statute requires us to discuss this with engineers as well. I did not, admittedly did not specifically request Fifth Street. I did request Seneca. They recommended against it. Their recommendation was for the streets in front of the school.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Get a motion to approve.
Make a motion to waive first reading of ordinance 1449-26 and approve the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve Park School Zone Ordinance Change 1449-26 and waive first reading.
Does that have to be two motions or is it all one? To waive and approve? Okay. I just wasn't clear on that. Thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the Valley Center Fire Township contracts for discussion.
So I added this to the agenda prior to getting more information today on the fire discussion. I still think it's relevant. We've had agreements. I don't remember the exact year. I want to say since the 1930s. It was brought up in the town hall meeting last week. If we go to Fire District 1, we need to do the termination. It requires a 90-day notice. If we keep, I still think we need to discuss what we're going to do with the townships. I think, there's been a lot of discussion earlier about the mill levies and how much we're going to be paying. That's Valley Center taxpayers. I can't give you an exact breakdown of cost, but I can tell you if we go on a large structure fire in the county, that $1,000 we get a year is gone on that one call. And so I think direction for staff from council is to whether or not we want to keep these going or terminate them.
Ben?
Do these townships are outside of Valley Center or any of them part of Valley Center?
Part of them would be, I'm sure part of them,
Okay.
Valley Center would be
But-
part of it, but we would still respond in our city
The
limits.
parts of the townships that are outside of the city limits are Fire District 1.
Correct. Correct. And so right now, and you brought up Fire District 1, I will tell you, when they respond into the city, they count that as auto aid. When we respond into the townships, they don't count that as auto aid. They say we're contractually obligated to respond there, and they're right.
Yeah, we definitely need to take a look at these and either dissolve it or something needs to change because they're getting the bulk of that's not even the bulk. They're getting all of the tax base and we're forced to respond. And are any of those fires, are we the only ones to respond or do they always send someone from Sedgwick County?
They send someone on the
Okay.
fires as well. I mean, there could be instances that they may be disregarded or.
But
if-
we're forced to
if we
respond
handle
because
it.
we have a
So
contract.
We respond on structure fires, grass fires, and auto accidents in the 3 townships.
Okay.
I think this probably should be tabled till we get our fire system straightened out, to be honest with you.
I'll
Maybe-
second that if that's a motion.
Do what?
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
Just to give you time and you to put some numbers together, because like he said, $1,000 don't even pay for a fire truck to go out there, so. So townships need to weigh that situation also, because I sit on the township trustee board, Valley Center Township, and that was a bargain, so we signed it, you know.
And I understand, especially at this late hour tabling it. I will say, I think similar to the process we're going through on the fires, with our fire department and Fire District 1, I think the contracts need to be terminated still eventually, and then we can, if they request to, reevaluate that, renegotiate that, then I think we come back with that to council, correct?
These contracts are good till the first of the year, right?
They
The ones
are.
we've already signed. So
Do we have to give 90-day notice? Sorry.
Yes, 90-day notice per the contract.
That starts the mechanism the same way that Fire District 1 did with us for mutual aid.
Correct.
Kind of talked about this a little bit at the town hall meeting, but just don't forget, it's kind of an unusual situation because they are in the fire district. Their citizens their property owners are paying the fire district mill to the fire district. And then we have this contract for services for $1,000. And I know we look at that $1,000 number, I'm like, that is too small. It is too small. But if they're in the fire district and they're a fire district community, then we're really kind of providing either auto or mutual aid, however that works out. And none of those are usually come with a price anyway. I mentioned at the town hall meeting, we want to be careful about not changing that norm, which is that the auto and the mutual aid isn't traditionally charged a fee.
Seems that auto and mutual aid only works one direction then, doesn't it? County expects us to auto aid out to a township fire. Is that what I'm understanding you're saying?
Well, I'm not speaking that direction at all. I'm focusing more on the $1,000 impact. I don't know that we want to evaluate whether we would charge more, is what I'm saying, because
Yeah, well, I
we would
understand
be,
that too, but-
really looking at a mutual or an auto aid, and those are not typically charged.
Thank you, Ben.
So Lloyd, do we have to give notice to the 90-day or can we renegotiate the contract? Which has to happen?
I think if council wanted to renegotiate, I think we still serve the 90-day notice with the intention to end the contracts. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sandra, but I think we would still do that. If they wish to try to renegotiate, I don't know that ending the contract is us wanting to necessarily renegotiate because they're separate. This is not auto or mutual aid. Whatever agreement we have in place with Fire District 1, whether it be mutual aid or auto aid, if we end these contracts or terminate these contracts, whichever aid we have in place is how we would respond to these townships. So if it's mutual aid, they would have to arrive on scene, assess it, and request us. Auto aid, it would be similar to what we do now, we just wouldn't get the $1,000. As Sandra said, they're already paying fire district taxes.
And this contract, the way I'm reading it, is written, so it's the township's asking us to go into a contractual agreement with them. We're not asking them. Is correct?
Correct.
So, yeah, I think we just, basically the situation we're in now, we probably should give them their 90-day notice for the first of the year that we're going to be renegotiating it or something to that effect?
Well, we have some
Instead of
time,
just
right?
making it automatic?
We're good through January 2027, right? So we have some time before we,
No, we're good till January, yes, but the 90 days, we're getting pretty close, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben?
What is 90 days from today if we give notice? Do we have a date? Say that again. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
No, it would be in November
In November.
If you want to hit it by January 1, pardon me?
if we gave it today.
November
If we gave
1st.
it today.
Oh, if we gave, oh, I'm sorry. I was quoting what the last date is. We could provide the 90-day, we could start the 90-day notice in order to be done in January. So January 1 is when the contract renews, and we need to give 90 days before that. It would need to be sometime before October 1 is where I was going.
October.
I move to provide notice, 90-day notice that we're terminating contract with the 3 townships.
Have a second? Have a motion and a second to send a 90-day notice out for the townships for the renegotiation of the contracts. Any further discussion? All,
Yeah. it's-
Termination?
They can do what they want with the renegotiation. It's just to terminate the contract.
okay. For termination then?
Yes.
Of the contract. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Sorry, point of clarification for me. Was that to start the 90-day notice immediately?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep.
Okay, let's see where we're at. Moving on to staff reports. Oh, no, the appropriation. The consent agenda, moving on to the consent agenda. Any motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Now, moving on to staff reports. Who's first on my list here? Oh, Kyle. Okay, Neil.
Good evening, Mayor, members, council. Just a brief update on the Lions Park splash pad. We talked a little bit about it at the last meeting. Just wanted to let you know that we're doing some fact finding, working with our contractor, architect, and consultant that worked on that project, and to determine answer a variety of different questions, specifically looking at a product trying to find the best product that's going to work to add some additional traction. They've supplied us with some information. We're still reviewing that. We're in that process, but we'll keep you posted as we continue to make strides to get that rectified. So stand for any questions you have on that. Other than that, I wanted to let you know that we had a great pool season. The pool is closed for the season now, the outdoor pool at Lions Park, and staff has begun the process of doing the winterization on it. So far, things look really in pretty good shape from this last year, but just wanted to mention that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Lloyd. Rodney.
Real quick on the water treatment plant, the raw water line is complete all the way. They've got the tie-in done at Maine and Sheridan. They have the tie-in done at the plant. All that's in. They continue to set up equipment inside the plant. We had a tour today. Things are moving along quickly. Vale Point We recently had a progress meeting. All the infrastructure is in. Water lines have been tested. They're getting ready to move in, mobilize to start on the roads. Arbor Valley, again, infrastructure is in, except for that one water line. They have that one water line to do. They'll be starting on roadway there. Amber Ridge, which they have been working on roadway. They have most of the sub base down on most of the roadway out there, so they're probably not very far from paving. And on trails in and around the school, we've been in negotiations with Evergy. That process has started to get the streetlights in around the school.
Questions or comments? Thank you, Rodney. And here, Barry. Clint. Did I forget? Oh, sorry, Janice.
I'm going to have Cinder come up here and help me out with this one a little bit too, but we had $4.533 million mature at Fidelity Bank. I shopped us between the three different banks that we have relationships with, which is Fidelity, People's, and also Legacy. Legacy has been the dormant bank with us. They've not had any of our funds for a while because their rates were not competitive. This time, though, their rates vastly exceeded the quotes that we got from both People's and Fidelity. So we are going to be transferring that money over. They worked on paperwork tonight, but we did not have time to get it on the agenda. So I'm going to let her kind of ask or talk about some options here, but you can only purchase IntraFi funds 1 day a week, which is tomorrow. And ideally, we're trying to figure out some way to get this thing passed tonight, because essentially all we need to do is take Brent off of Legacy and put Cinder on there as an authorized signer, and everything else is ready to go. We earn thousands of dollars per week in interest on that money, so it is definitely worth our while to not wait 2 weeks to do this. So I'm going to have Cinder talk about some options here.
Well, I apologize because we're behind the 8 ball on this. And I looked at Barry a minute ago and I was like, pay attention because we're going to need a little bit of guidance. It would have been good to, we just had honestly, to the last minute of getting fire stuff ready for today. And then the paperwork did come in the door at the last minute. So, but we couldn't amend the agenda at that point. So we're either looking at the appropriate legalities of being able to discuss that when it's not an agenda item tonight, which I'm leery about, or doing a quick special meeting tomorrow morning. We just need formal action to change the signers on the bank, and all the paperwork did come in late. Suggestion, Barry? Okay. Yeah. And that's what I was afraid we were going to be at. And so we were going to see who would be available in the morning. And it is the agenda item would be one item, and it would be for the approval to change the approved signatories on that particular investment account. And so members could also attend via Zoom. But we would want to know if we could do a special meeting at some point in the morning and what time would work for you all.
It would probably be less than a 5-minute meeting. It would be very, very quick. So you already have all the details, and we could probably go to a vote very quickly. Again, removing Brent, adding Cinder to the account, and reactivating Legacy, moving that 4.533 million over.
Tomorrow morning, right?
Yes.
I'm available after 9.
I'm available all day.
I would have to be before 10, but I'd be available up until 10.
How about I send a Zoom meeting out for 9:30, and we'll try to see if we can get a quorum on there to try to pass that real quickly. Would that be possible?
Zoom is fine for attendance. We should have at least present here. Mayor, if you could be here and opening. Legally, you can attend and vote via Zoom, but we should open the meeting here if possible.
Yeah, I'm going to come here to the meeting. I hate Zoom.
Yeah, I'll come here.
That's the worst thing. Back to COVID.
If we could get a quorum here, that would be wonderful.
Does this cause any issues with notice for having a special meeting?
Oh,
It has to be posted 2 hours prior by law.
That's why I was just asking.
Yeah,
I don't
good
wanna-
question.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
And he's sitting right there. Oh.
Can we go earlier than that?
No.
That's the answer.
Jim needs his beauty sleep.
I will not be available, but I think you have quorum.
Do we have a quorum for 9:30 a.m. tomorrow? By show of hands, who can be here?
By Zoom, but yeah.
Good enough.
I appreciate it. And again, it will put several thousands of dollars back in the citizens' pockets by not having to wait 2 weeks for that investment money to be dormant.
Nice.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay.
You don't have to worry.
Janice, sorry I skipped you, but
Not gonna work.
we'll circle back around.
I just wanted to give a report that our summer reading program finished last week, and we had about 35 or 36 additional kids participating and turning in logs this year. So we were really pleased. We felt like that was an excellent year for us. Of course, the dinosaur theme didn't hurt. Thank you.
So what was your total, Janice? Sorry. You
I'm
said
sorry?
you had an additional 35 or 36. What was your total number?
I think it was because we had 286 a year ago. So add 37 to that.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
There you go.
That's big math.
I just wanted you to say the number because I know it's very, very popular and it keeps growing every year. So
Yeah.
We did like 330 certificates for you guys, something like that. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. And pass along your staff.
I
We
will.
appreciate their work and
I will. Thank you very much.
Amanda,
I have nothing.
Indra.
I'll be very fast because I know we're all ready to get out of here, but I actually just want to thank the council and the mayor. We're dealing with a very passionate, difficult topic right now, and I want to thank you guys for all the questions that you're bringing forward and just the time that you're committing to it. It means a lot. Mostly, I just want to say thank you for the questions. This is the place for them, and I appreciate them being presented and having the public have an opportunity to hear those responses. So thank you.
Any questions or comments for Cindra? Moving on to governing bodies reports. We have a ribbon cutting at the school Saturday. Is that correct? Saturday morning, 9 at the high school, 10 at the new school, Park School. Farmers Market Thursday, unless it's 110 degrees. And that's all I have. Ron,
I have nothing.
Eric.
Called me Ben, I was gonna resign. Actually, you took mine. Open house and ribbon cutting, the new supplemental learning center at the high school. That'll allow us to keep students here instead of sending them off to Mount Hope and different day schools. And then at Valley Park Elementary at 10.
Amy.
I want to thank Parks and Recs for allowing us to do a fundraiser for Valley Center Animal League, doing the pooch plunge at the pool. We did that on Sunday and it was a lot of fun. So thank you for that.
Ben?
and thank our staff for probably cleaning out a lot of dog hair out of the filter.
Yeah.
So I have nothing else.
Gina?
I have nothing.
Jeannie? Chris?
I just wanted to say to all the constituents, thank you for the emails, phone calls, and smoke signals that you're sending us, letting us know what you're wanting to do and so forth. I take every one of those and I read them every time. So thank you.
Matt?
I'd like to thank Councilman Scrivener for opening this building last week for the town hall.
Yes.
That was absolutely.
That was, yes.
Perfect setting.
Anything else?
Come on, Matt.
Somebody else do
And
it.
with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Matt, it changed before we made